All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. If you all feel comfortable, I'll just move it down a little bit so that I can breathe as I talk. But my name is Christina Hunt. I don't think that I've met you two before, but I'm the Student Success Strategist here at Triton. I work within the Division of Academic Success. In my role, I do manage our retention alert system, as well as our peer mentoring program and our virtual navigator program. And I also work with TRIO students as well. So I kind of have my hand in a lot of pots. But the focus behind all that I do here at Triton is student retention. So today, our topic is students are signed up, but don't show up. What do I do? Obviously, there are a number of things that you are able to do. However, I wanted to focus on retention alerts. Retention alert is a tool that connects faculty to student support staff. And we also have a new system that we are using that starts next semester, in the spring semester. So it's kind of the hot new CRM system on campus. So I wanted to talk to you all about it. And it is a way to kind of get those students that are not coming to class or maybe need additional support. All right.
I'm okay if you want to remove your mask.
Okay. Okay. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. I think we're far enough apart. All right. So CRMAdvise. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar? Okay. Have you heard of WebAdvisor?
Yes.
Yes. So WebAdvisor is the current tool that we are using for retention alerts. For the fall semester, we're using WebAdvisor. Have you all, anyone submitted a retention alert before?
Many.
Good, that's a good thing. What about you? Have you submitted a retention alert?
I've used this before.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we are transitioning from WebAdvisor to CRMAdvise. CRMAdvise is intended to be more user-friendly. I'm sure you've heard pitches and things of that nature for CRMAdvise. I am a part of the implementation team currently, so we're training faculty. It's a campus system, so we're training faculty. We're going to train students because it does have a student feature on it, as well as staff. But from the perspective of faculty, it will be used to view the students in your section. So if you want to have just a bird's eye view of all the students in your class and just some general information, you will be able to do that. You will be able to see the student's profile, which has like their phone number, their email, the classes that they're in. So you will have access to that. All the students that are in your class, so not other students. And also alerts. So alerts is probably the biggest component for CRMAdvise for faculty. So I'll be focusing a lot on alerts. So through CRMAdvise, you will be able to send early warnings to advisors and other student support staff so that we can reach out to the student to figure out what's going on, why are they not coming to class, how can we better support them. So retention alert, that is the current term that we use here at Triton. I know that some institutions call it early alert, but it's basically when you send a notification that a student is in need of attention. The faculty and student can submit retention alerts through Triton software, CRMAdvise, which was previously WebAdvisor. It does serve as a retention tool, and it's meant to encourage communication between faculty and student support. So we do have all departments across campus utilizing CRMAdvise. We'll go more into that, I believe, in the next slide. But advising, tutoring, financial aid, counseling, CAST, all of these departments are utilizing CRMAdvise. So when you send an alert on a student, it does go to that specific department, and then someone from that department will reach out to the student. So essentially, it's a tool. So it's only as effective as folks are using it. So the more people are using it, the more effective it will be. And if used properly, it can increase student engagement, retention, and student success. All right, so when should I create a retention alert for a student, and which department will respond? So you're familiar with the current system. There are probably upwards of about 20 different types of alerts you can submit. It gets very detailed. So with the help of Lucian, that is the company that we got CRMAdvise, they actually recommended that we narrow it down to 10. They felt that 10 is enough. It's detailed enough, but it's not too detailed where you're kind of getting into the weeds. So a part of the core implementation team, as well as we had some faculty participation, these are the 10 alerts that you are able to submit on a student. So I did kind of do a chart letting you know the risk level and then also which department will respond to that alert. So the first one is student needs accommodation support. So if you're working with the student, maybe they've indicated that they got accommodations in high school, or you think that they would benefit from accommodations, you can submit an accommodations alert, and that will go to our CAS department.
So that's a new thing, because you couldn't do that before, because I had to send it directly to
yes,
to them via email versus the alert. So that's a new feature. Okay. Cool.
Yep. So CAS will be a part of the system. So we actually have a couple departments that were not previously in the system that will be a part of CRMAdvise, which is good. So we're all getting the same information. What is new and a lot of folks really like is student applause / kudos, because previously alerts had been just kind of a negative thing. Usually if you submitted an alert, it's, the student's not doing well. But we did add, hey, the student's actually doing really well, or maybe they've improved. Obviously that's a low risk, and that would go to our academic advising department. And what that looks like is the advisor just reaching out, kind of letting them know, hey, keep up the momentum, you're doing really well. I'm just giving them that encouragement. So that is new with CRMAdvise. Next, we have student at risk of failing course. So obviously this is a high risk, and this type of alert goes to two departments because of the severity of the risk, and that is academic advising and financial aid. As we know, many of our students are financial aid students, so if they fail a class, it could impact them financially. So both of those departments will be responding to that specific alert. Next is attendance concern. That goes to our academic advising. We do just have they've never logged in, or they're at risk of being withdrawn due to their attendance. I know a lot of classes have attendance policies, so that is the selection you would pick for attendance concerns. A student has emotional and personal concerns. That is our counseling department. So if a student has indicated something, I've had a couple instructors, they maybe wrote in one of the assignments that they had experienced, an incident, an instructor just wanted a counselor to reach out. Those go directly to our counseling department, and that is a sensitive case. So just so you're aware that I didn't know, but CAS and counseling, any cases that are, or alerts that are submitted to them, no one else can see them.
Yes.
So the advisor won't be able to see it, financial aid, just because of the nature that could be involved with that specific case. Next, student has low homework, quiz, test scores, and they need a tutoring referral. So this goes to our Academic Success Center, which is our tutoring center, and someone from that department would reach out to the student. We have student is missing textbooks. That goes to our academic advising department. Other, if it doesn't fit in any of these other categories, you can select that. That would go to academic advising, and then academic advising would reach out to the student, and then based off the conversation, kind of redirect the case if it needs to be. And then we have student has a financial aid concern. Obviously that goes to financial aid. And then lastly, student needs technology assistance. So that actually goes to our ETRC, which is a new department that will now be in CRMAdvise. The ETRC, they would open a IT ticket for the student and then reach out to the student from there.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Are all of these anonymous, or Like, does it list which professor, which class has sent these things, or?
So it's anonymous to the student, so the student will not have access to it, but your name would be listed under the alert that goes to the advisor. So the advisor would know that you submitted the alert on the student, and sometimes advisors or different departments will follow back up with you just to let you know, hey, I spoke to Joe and this is the conversation, or something to that effect. So yeah, your name will be included to the department, but not the student. Yeah, yeah.
So right now, when I send alert, whoever receives it sends it back, including me, CC me on an email, say, I got alert for this class. Your professor is concerned about your work. Please contact me as soon as possible. So I am CC'd on that email. So I know they already got it and they responding to it. So that's what happens right now.
Yeah, so typically it's kind of at the discretion of the person that's responding to the alert. We leave it autonomous, to be honest, just because what I found is sometimes if the student is not aware that you know what's going on inside the classroom, you ask them how's everything going, and they say, oh, it's great. Whereas if you say, hey, I received notification, and usually I'll say I received notification, not necessarily from the instructor. I'll say I received notification that you haven't been attending, like is there anything that we can help you with? So that's the conversation, and usually once they know, like, oh, they know that I'm not doing well, then you can kind of have an honest conversation. So some student support staff will say, hey, your instructor says that, you're not doing well or you haven't come to class, and then they'll lead with that. So, yeah.
But just also, before I send it out, I usually let the students know that if they don't show up, I can't even let them know. I usually try to reach them first, and then I do the alert. But usually they know I would meet with them, and I say, hey, I see you need more help. I'm gonna be sending retention alert. So someone else can help us with this situation because I'm at the ends of doing.
And that's usually most instructors, they've tried to have a conversation with the student first, either via email or in person, and they feel that it just, they feel that student support staff can maybe reach the student or try again, but usually it's after they've already contacted the student. So the student is aware that there's an issue. Yeah. All right, so how do I access and submit a retention alert? So there is a link. This link will also now, this is new, be available in your Blackboard course shell. I believe it's going to be like on that left-hand side. It has not been added yet, so TBD. But I believe it's going to be right on that left side with all of your other buttons that you can choose from. So it will be there. And also it will be in your My portal, so you can access it there. I would highly recommend just saving the link or bookmarking it so that way you can access it quickly. But it will be located in the Blackboard course shell as well as your Triton portal, starting in spring. So if you look now, you won't see it. All right, so I wanted to, hopefully this is clear, you can see it. But I wanted to just give you an idea of what it looks like to submit an alert for a student. So this is a student that's an HIA 132, and it's just a screenshot. But essentially what it would look like on your, your left-hand side, you would see the class and the section. So if you have multiple sections, you can choose the appropriate section that you want. Then it would list the list of students that are enrolled in that class. You do have the option to a student's name, and then once you click it, it would populate to select your alert type. This is the 10 alert types that we talked about, so you can click the appropriate alert type and click next. What is new with CRMAdvise, you are able to now click multiple students. So as you see here, we click 2 students. So if you have like 3 students in that specific class that are all, you need to go to tutoring, you can do them all at the same time, as opposed to currently you have to do each one individually. So you are able to choose multiple students. The only thing is, if you do choose multiple students, you can only do 1 note. So all of those students will have the same note, which we'll see on the next screen.
So you will still require the notes?
Yes. So that the next screen is notes. So once you click the student, you click the appropriate alert type. It'll take you to the Add Notes section. Notes are important because it just gives us an idea of what's going on. Usually most instructors will include a conversation that they've had with the student. They will also include their policy for the class, so their attendance policy or their late work policy. So that way when the student support staff is working with the student, they kind of know what's going on in the class and they can have that conversation. So you do want to add notes. As mentioned, if you did select multiple students, that same note will appear for all 3 or 4 or however many students you selected. From Add Notes, it will take you to Review, so you'll be able to see the number of students that you've selected, and then you would hit Submit Alert, and that's it. And the alert will then go to the appropriate department. So depending on which type you selected, it'll go to advising or to financial aid. So you'll hit Submit Alerts. So it looks way more user-friendly, I think, than WebAdvisor. So if you wanted to, which I highly recommend, see what's the status of your alerts or look at the history of your alerts, you do have that option. So if you can pull up all of the alerts that you've created, it will show the date that you submitted, the student's name, the risk level of the alert, the term that it was submitted in. As you see, this one's from summer and this one's from fall. It'll show the owner of the alert, so which department it went to, and the status of the alert. So is it still open or if it has been closed?
So right now we cannot see it in CRMAdvise.
So you actually can, and I don't think that that's well known, but you are able to, and I can show you like which button you click.
It's not worth it at this point because it's too much money.
Yeah, we're ushering it out. So, but yeah, you are able to go back into the current system, and you can even add notes. So maybe you wrote the alert last week, but then you've had a conversation with the student this week. You are able to go back in and add additional notes.
Will you be able to do this same here?
No. So with the current system, you can, although I don't think most folks know that, but you can go back in and add additional notes. Unfortunately, with this new system, once it's submitted, you can't go back in. You can just see the status of the alert. We are working on, it's in the process of sending faculty emails once a week, just letting you know your alert status. So if for those that are interested, you would get an email, can't remember which day we chose, just saying, hey, these 4 alerts that you submitted, they're open or they're closed, so that you'll have an idea of what's going on with the alert. And then again, it does tell you who's the owner of the alert, so if you wanted to reach out to that department, you're curious about what's going on, you can also do that.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I understood that the Blackboard has the attendance right now. You can click it and add it, and you can utilize Blackboard for the attendance. They also ask to utilize Blackboard for the grades. So then it's easier even for the advisor to look it up and stuff like that, or whoever works on it. And I believe I've heard it, maybe I've heard incorrectly from Kevin in one of the other webinars, that you guys will be able to see like those statistics. So you will proactively, versus waiting for us, you will proactively be able to see certain things?
So CRMAdvise does have the feature to pull data from Blackboard. Yes. We also are able to do automated alerts. So one of the automated alerts that we spoke about is if a student has not logged into Blackboard in X amount of days, say 7 days, then an automated alert will be created, sent to their advisor for someone to reach out to them. It also has the capability, if a student is below a 70 or 60%, it's able to pull the grade data, and if they're below an X percent, then an automated email can be created and someone would reach out to them, so that way we don't have to wait for the faculty to manually submit the alert. So it does have that capability. What we are running into is that not all faculty use Blackboard. They don't require students to log in every 7 days, as well as not all faculty submit their grades by a certain point. So it does have that capability. I'm not sure that it will be implemented this spring, because I think that there's a lot of information that we'll have to figure out to make sure that a student that's in math that uses My Math Lab, they are going into My Math Lab, but that they don't receive an alert saying, hey, you haven't went to class, like what's going on. So we're still trying to figure that part out, but it does have that capability, which is nice. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to do it in spring, but I hope that we can, because I think that will be great for students if we do have the ability to automate the alerts. So.
And for us too.
Right, yeah, that's
great
for you.
Yeah, right now I do it.
And I know that there's talks of if we can turn it on in certain classes, like if it's a wide paintbrush, when we turn it on, it's for all classes, or if we can select, so we'll select your class and whoever else class. So I think that's something that they're looking into. So yeah. All right. One other thing I wanted to point out is, so this is the advisor's perspective, but just so you all are aware, the advisors, or CRMAdvise, does have what we call a success score. We are able to customize barriers or factors that will predict a student's success rate. And one of those that we have done is student has 2 or more faculty alerts raised. So if a student has more than 2 faculty alerts that have been raised, then it will change their success score, which will indicate the amount of attention they get from the faculty and different student support services. So just so you're aware, not only are student support staff responding to your alerts, but it's also affecting their success score and the amount of attention their advisor, or the amount of follow-up that the advisor will give them throughout the semester because of their success score. So just on the back end, that's what's going on.
And is it 2 or more per class, or 2 or more across all classes they take?
It's 2 or more across all classes. Right. So most faculty only submit 1 for the semester. That's usually the average on a student. So it's across, so if they got 1 in math and then 1 in biology, that will impact their success score. All right, and then lastly, I just wanted to go over just some quick best practices. So alerts are intended to help the student. So we do encourage that alerts are submitted while the student still has time to be successful in the course. This is generally prior to week 9 of a 16-week semester. So usually we should receive the alert by midterms. Usually after that, they're too far behind, and usually we can't help them at that point. For fall, I know that September and October are our busiest times for alerts. Usually by November, I think we've almost hit the last day to drop a class, so it's not much that we can do, unfortunately. We can get them ready for spring, but so we do encourage faculty to submit those alerts while they still have time. Also, to include class attendance or late work policy in the detailed notes. This is just helpful for the student support staff if we know, hey, if you miss 4 class sessions, you're going to be dropped. So we can have that conversation with the student, as we know that in each class it's different. So the more detail we have, the better. Also, retention alert cases should only be created in CRMAdvise, not through Blackboard's Retention Center. So I think there's a lot of confusion on my part, on everyone's part, because I didn't know there was a Blackboard Retention Center. But Retention Center, and you probably would know more about this, but it's kind of a statistics on the class success. But I think because of the words, retention alert, retention center, many faculty try to submit their alerts through retention center, and then maybe add more.
Which actually doesn't work.
Right, it goes
So
into a black hole and no one responds to it because.
So the only way you can do it right now is go through the portal.
Yes. So hopefully it doesn't make it more confusing once we put the link to retention alert in Blackboard. So we'll see how that goes. But it's CRMAdvise is how you would submit your retention alert. And then lastly, as I touched on, you are able to review your alert history. So if you're curious, what happened with that? Is it open? Is it closed? You are able to go in through CRMAdvise to review your alert history. And then you also will start to get emails once a week just letting you know, hey, these cases have been closed. Any questions about this?
Well, actually, one question. So at what point should I drop the student?
Great question. Typically, after you've submitted an alert, what I didn't point out, which I'll probably add to these slides, is the process on our end, on the student support end. So with CRMAdvise, we now have the ability to automatically email a student. So that's new. You don't need an actual person. We've created templates based off of the alert types that the student will get once they receive an alert. So they'll get an automated email. We also now have texting capabilities through CRMAdvise. So once a student gets the email, so as soon as you hit submit, the student will get an email based off of that type of alert. The next step is a text message. So they will get a text message from their individual advisor. So it won't be like a 1-800, it'll be their advisor, one-on-one text from their advisor. And then the third step is a phone call. So they'll get, if the student still hasn't responded to the email, they haven't responded to the text message, they will then get a phone call. And then at that point, if we just haven't been able to contact the student, then the case will be closed. So I would say that, if you've had a conversation with the student, they're aware, they've gone through the retention alert process, you can use your professional judgment and drop the student, because at this point, you've reached out, we've reached out 3 times, and the student is just not doing well in the class.
What are acceptable reasons to withdraw a student by the division? Is it only attendance, or if we know they're going to fail the class at that point, should we withdraw them? Is that the expectation?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that from managing this system, obviously attendance is one, but I've also saw instructors say that they will withdraw the student due to grades by midterm. Usually they will wait to around the add drop time to give them ample amount of time to try to pull up their grade. Like I have one, she is in math and she's gonna wait, I think the add drop date is November, I think like 15th, it's coming up. So she gave him until this date, and if he still is failing the class, she intends to drop the student. He's aware, we're aware. So I don't know if there's an official rule about when you can drop, but from, anecdotally I've seen students get dropped a little bit before the add drop date. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one student that he loses 90% of the instructions because he comes It's an hour, 45 minutes class.
Mm.
He comes 45 minutes to an hour. And my classes are designed, I teach first 45 minutes and then they have a lap time where I cruise around and check.
Yeah.
And I reached out to advisors, I think 3 times by now. I reach out to he's in a Triumph. I reach out to that person. I reach out to Michelle, and I sit down with him. He promised stuff, still not there, and he's still. And then he acts like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like,
And I can say from working with, so Kevin Porter is the advisor for Triumph,
Mhm.
and Michelle Lysick is the advisor. They are both 2 people that are on top of their students, so I'm pretty sure that he has spoken to them as well.
yeah,
And, we get those students that unfortunately, this is just not the time. So I usually would say, because it's better for them to be withdrawn than to fail the class.
Right.
Because you fail the class, it impacts your GPA, whereas if you withdraw from the class, it does not. So I usually recommend that if it's at a point where you're not going to pass it, that it's better to just withdraw from it.
I had a number of students in one of my courses this semester who, by like the midterm withdraw date, they hadn't turned in any assignments, and it's online, so I've been really lax with the attendance policy this semester. I know it's weird, but I was like, just turn in your assignments to pass the class. It's not, science.
Yeah.
And I sent them an email all saying like, if you just turn in one of your assignments by this date, I won't drop you. And I think one of them responded to it. And then, but I don't want them to fail. I know they're going to fail the class because they can't seem to.
so do we still can drop them?
I thought it was by the midterm, but maybe
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought that the withdraw date was by the midterm date. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better to withdraw them. It's less of an impact. I mean, either way, it's going to impact them, but the impact is less.
Does a withdraw, like a W on their transcript, does it affect their financial aid ability or anything?
So, depending on when they get the W, I think financial aid wants you to complete a certain percentage of the class, but generally that's only like the first month of the class, maybe like 6 weeks. After that, it will not. And that's only because I work with financial aid. So usually if they stay in the class the first like 6 weeks, they'll be fine, but after or before that, it will impact their financial aid. Yeah. So that's why I usually say just try to wait.
Yeah.
Wait a little. Like I try to give them, I mean, you're not really supposed to, but just so that it doesn't impact you, just wait a little bit. And then you'll get your financial aid because you have, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but you have to be in the class a certain percentage of time before they would allocate the funding to you. And then once you get the funding, they're not going to take it away.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I should have said that. All right. Any other questions? I know we've hit the window.
That'd be helpful, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, your name is it Mac?
Magdalena.
Oh, yes, I've seen your name in retention alerts.
Yeah.
Your last name?
Piper.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I shorten it. It's Kruszyńska Piper, but I say please do not torture me. So they just put Magdalena Piper.
Yeah, okay. Yep. I know a lot of folks by just seeing their names pop up.
Okay, thank you.
All right.